What's up, y'all? This is Reggie White, aka Bullet, aka Speed and Bullet, and this is the Speed and Bullet podcast channel. Don't forget to like if you like this type of content and you want to see more of it. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to be notified whenever we drop new content. And don't forget to comment and engage. Let us know what you're thinking about. Let us know how you're feeling about these topics. And let us know where you are checking in from. I want to see how far this thing has been reaching. Also, don't hesitate to share if you think that someone else might enjoy this type of content, this type of channel. Don't hesitate to share it. Let people know that we are here. So what I want to talk about today is Monique. And before you guys even start, I know it's getting a bit old, in my opinion. These comedians and their various gripes and various issues. I think it's quite fascinating, if not interesting, just that genre of entertainment and just the different levels of drama that appears to come from that drama. I mean from that genre of entertainment. But I do think that some of the things that Monique talked about are things that are relevant to what's going on in today's world, what's relevant to to our culture, and things that we probably should be discussing. So the first thing I want to talk about is just the calling out of people who have wronged you. Now, I think that it's interesting that some people fall on both sides of this. But I think it's interesting, kind of the dialogue behind both sides. So, Monique, and this is unknown to me because I am just not that plugged into the entertainment world. So I was unaware that Monique had so many issues and people that she felt as though had wronged her. Same thing with Cat Williams. I didn't really know of all his various issues and people that have wronged him. But with Monique and her, her conversation interview with Shannon Sharp, I thought that it was interesting. She's a very engaged interviewee, if that's the correct term, and I felt as though the interview I thought was a decent interview that wasn't 100% just her gripes, which I think in a almost 3 hour interview, that the things that got the most attention were the things that that she complained about and the things that she brought up about the wrong that had been done to her. But there was a lot of other moments in there about her background, just about how she grew up, just about her general kind of attitude about life and the things that have driven her to the successes that she's had, and probably has driven her to some of the failures that she's had also. But the topic of calling out what's wrong, and at what point does that calling out need to stop? And for me, I can understand that Monique feels as though she's been wronged, and she's been wronged by a number of people, most notably Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, Charlemagne, also DL Hughley. So she's been wronged by these people, and she felt as though that these folks did not make it right, in reference to how she had been wronged, either through apologies or through some other types of mean, in order to kind of settle her and make her whole again. So, but the question is, at what point do we transition? At what point do we transition away from these issues or these complaints that we have about people who are obviously, they don't care, and obviously it's falling mostly on deaf ears? So like I said, has been a part of the conversation. Like, Monique is bringing up these complaints, and these complaints have been have been talked about by her since, I want to say, maybe 2010, when the movie Precious came out, and most of her complaints are about her treatment by Tyler Perry and by Oprah Winfrey, in reference to the movie Precious, and how they treated her after the movie, and some things that Tyler Perry has said about her, and being difficult to work with. She feels as though it has negatively affected her career moving forward, to the point where it's been difficult for her to get employment or to command the type of salary that she feels as though she should get. But we talking now 10 plus, maybe even close to 15 plus years that these folks have not given you the type of apology or the type of compensation. I think that's what she wants from Tyler Perry, the type of compensation or apology that she feels as though is needed in order to make her whole. Now, what does that have to do with us? What does that have to do with the culture? And I think that it's interesting because in the black culture, one of the things that we always kind of hold on to, and I think is important, is the idea of slavery, and the idea that we should kind of get over slavery. Like, slavery has ended. Black people have reached a level of success in this country, and we should no longer care about about the past wrongs of slavery, even though those wrongs have not been adequately corrected, and there's still wrongs going on today. But you have a lot of people saying that Monique needs to shut up. Monique needs to get over it. Monique needs to move on, do something different, write a different chapter in her life. But when we think of something like slavery, in my opinion, that's something that we should not forget about. That we should not keep pushing towards equality and liberty, and that those principles have not been reached yet. So at what point do we move on individually, or even move on collectively as a culture? So that's my first question to you guys. How do you guys feel about just where do you draw the line in kind of moving on from some type of personal issue or personal gripe that you might have with someone? When does that expire, or do you hold on to that for forever, or do you get over it, transition to something new or different, or forgive those folks who may have wronged you? So how do you guys just feel about how long we should keep bringing up old things that just appear not to be listened to by those who have wronged us? How long should we continue to bring these things up? So that's a question that I have for you guys. When does this stop? But also, and this is more for the culture and not for an individual, how do you guys feel about our continuous push towards equality, towards liberty, but also not to forget those things that have happened in the past, because those things are not in the past. Those things are the present, and the future, the foreseeable future, that slavery and the lingering effects of slavery. You have some people that feel like we should get over it. We've made it. We are we are in the best position of any minority in the world, and anyone of African descent. We are in the best place, being in the United States. So how do you guys just feel about us in the culture and what we should be pushing towards, and maybe we should be transitioning away from thinking about those things that have happened in the past: slavery, Jim Crow, discrimination, things of that nature. So I want you guys to comment. Let me know how you feel about that. The next thing I want to talk about is how Monique described her individual struggle and what that meant to her, but also the difference that she feels as though was given to her when she talked about her struggle for relevance, but also her struggle for equal pay. in comparison to Taraji P. Henson, who had, just very, very emotional response to not getting the type of pay that she felt as though that she deserved. And for Monique, she feels as though, I'm not 100% sure, but she feels as though, well, I'm not 100% sure if this is accurate, but she feels as though the the message was the same of her and not being treated fairly. She feels as though her and Taraji had the same message, but she feels as though there was more people that put their arms around Taraji, more people that were more sympathetic to Taraji than to her. And why is that? And what does that look like? And or what does that mean? So she started to get into, maybe this means that her being how she looks, being older, being what she considered fat, black, those types of descriptions, that maybe that's a reason why her message wasn't given the same type of sympathy that Taraji's message was. So I thought it was just an interesting question. I know someone like Monique, and just her brand of comedy, and just how she looks at the world and how she looks at herself. She feels as though there is a split between how people view certain women, especially those of different sizes and those of different, what some people call attractiveness. So she feels as though that may have had something to do with Taraji getting more sympathy than her. So let me know how you guys feel about that. Is there a double standard? Do you guys feel like there was more sympathy for Taraji when she was complaining about her pay, as opposed to when Monique was complaining about her pay? Was there less sympathy, more, shut up and just be satisfied with what you've gotten, and that was more of what Monique felt as though was told to her or shown to her, that she should just be happy, that she's black, she's fat, she should be happy that she's getting anything, that she should be happy that she is making it in Hollywood to any degree. So thought it was an interesting topic. Maybe you guys can weigh in and let me know how you feel about that. The next thing I want to talk about just is her, and I thought it was very, very interesting that Monique brought up the Oscars, and her winning an Academy Award, her winning an Oscar, but also brought up how historically there hasn't been a place for black people in cinema, but really that's in all award shows. So one thing that Monique mentioned, which I thought was the correct thing to say at this moment, was, why do we give more weight to those award shows? Why is it more important to win an Oscar versus an NAACP Image Award? Now, in Monique's words, she felt as though the pinnacle of her career was winning an NAACP Image Award. And one of the reasons why is because, as a young person who wanted to be famous, wanted to win some of these awards, she never watched the Oscars because it didn't represent anything that was familiar to her. It didn't represent the culture. So for her, winning that NAACP was much more important and much more personal than winning the Oscar. And she brought up the question, like, why do we put more weight on these people that we know are going to be biased, that we know are not going to understand our voice, are not going to understand our stories? Why do we put much more emphasis and much more value to these awards? So I felt as though that was actually a great moment from Monique, but also something that a week ago at the Grammys, Jay-Z touched on, just how these award shows are biased towards people who are not black. They are biased towards those folks. But I think Monique putting a different spin on it is like, we should be much more we should have much more honor for the awards that we give out as opposed to the awards that other folks are giving to us. And once we make that transition to caring more about our own, not to say that we don't care about those awards either, because in your craft, in your career, I'm sure recognition is something that's important for people who act, who sing, who make music. Being recognized is important. So, excuse me, not to say that we should just disregard, those types of recognitions from the Grammys and the Oscars. Not saying that we should just throw them away, but why do we give more value? And shouldn't we be giving more value to the people that look like us, the people that are able to actually hear our stories, listen to our music, and give realistic feedback on these things. So I thought it was a great moment for Monique, but something that we should be thinking about within our culture, just making sure that we value the things that are ours. I know it's not a lot of things that are ours, but the things that are ours, that we value them equally, if not more, than the things that aren't ours. The next thing I want to talk about just is Monique's husband, and how within this time that Monique has been wrong in her opinion, and how her husband has been getting a lot of the negative attention towards him, also as someone that's always around, that's someone that's always meddling, or someone that is making this process with Monique even more difficult than Monique herself. And what does that look like, and why is that narrative being pushed? And what Monique said, and how she describes her husband and her relationship with her husband is very, very endearing. She describes him as a great, amazing man that came into her life and gave her a lot of the confidence and the stability that she needed in order to grow as a person. He's also what she described as a lifelong friend who transitioned into a lover and getting married, but also her manager. So someone that is responsible for her business dealings. He's the one that's taking her calls. He's the one that's filtering these conversations through and to Monique. But that the narrative is that he's in the way, he's meddling, he's always around. He is in some way a negative influence to her and her career. But for her, she describes him as nothing but a positive influence, not just to their personal lives, but to her professional life. And why he isn't celebrated for that, why he isn't celebrated as a black man that is standing with his black woman, and is not willing to compromise for his black woman, and why that is something that is not celebrated. So she brought that question up. Now, I 100% do not know whether or not their relationship or his role in their relationship and their public life is something that's celebrated, but Monique doesn't feel as though it is celebrated. It is properly put in that place of representing what it looks like to be a black man that stands with his black woman, his black wife. And why is that not getting the proper proper publicity, proper dialogue and commentary about their relationship? And I thought about it, and the first thing that came to my mind was Jay-Z and Beyonce, just because it was a week ago that Jay-Z was at the Grammys, and he was accepting an award, but he chose that time and that moment to to highlight some historical wrongs he felt as though has been done towards his wife and towards her career, not getting the type of recognition for album of the year that he feels as though she deserves. And I thought about it, And a lot of people were really happy that Jay-Z, stood up for his wife, stood by her, used his platform in order to highlight, some wrong that was, some perceived wrong towards her. And I started to, think about that in comparison to Monique's husband, who on a larger or smaller scale, I don't really know exactly, but has a real place in her career, a real place in managing her career, but in essence is doing the same thing that that Jay-Z has done, for Beyonce. Although just not being a global icon like Jay-Z is, and not having the type of platform, but just being an advocate for, for your person, being an advocate for your wife, for your black woman. Both of them, to me, are doing something that does not get a lot of recognition, period. But like I said, Jay-Z received a lot of recognition, just for him pointing out these things. So in Monique's eyes, her husband is not being recognized as being that person who is standing by his woman, making sure that she's being treated fairly, and having an intimate position within her career. So what do you guys think? Is there a double standard of Jay-Z and his advocating for Beyonce versus Monique's husband and him advocating for her? And what does that look like? How do we interpret that? Is there some type of double standard floating around there? Some type of unknown bias that we have, that we're not giving him the same type of recognition that we would give someone like a Jay-Z. So very interesting topic. So the last thing I want to talk about just is accountability, and this kind of goes beyond Monique, beyond Cat Williams, and goes kind of to the realm of like this personal responsibility, and the responsibility of righting a wrong, and making the person that you have hurt, or a person that there's some perceived hurt, making that person whole, and what that looks like, and how that looks for for different people. Everyone being made whole doesn't look the same. When we start talking about things in the celebrity world, some people financially, someone being just the truth coming out makes them whole. But I think we shouldn't judge people on what makes that person whole, on what that looks like, because everyone has a different idea of what being made whole is. But also within our lives and within ourselves, that personal accountability and responsibility that we all should have towards making things right, and towards leaving this place better than leaving this place better off, from our perspective towards the people that we interact with every day. So being accountable, taking accountability for the thing that you have done, or at the very least hearing people out, giving people an opportunity, reaching out, giving people an opportunity to be able to express a way that you may have wronged them, and understanding that and looking at it and feeling that from their perspective, and then acting on that, to apologize or make that person whole in whatever way they feel as though they need to be made whole. So I'm gonna leave you guys at that. But once again, if you like this type of video, don't hesitate to hit the like button. I love to see people engaging with the channel. Don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button. Let us know that you are here. Let us know that you want to be notified whenever we go online, whenever we make new videos. You'll be notified. Don't hesitate to comment. Let us know that you're out there. Let us know that you're watching these videos, that you're answering these questions, you're commenting. Let us know where you're from. Check in with us. Let us know how things are, and don't forget to share. Share this video with anyone that you feel as though might be interested in this type of conversation, might be interested in joining the channel. Don't forget to share. Let people know that we are here. So I'm gonna leave you guys with that. I'll see you all later. Thanks.